The curator and the scribe, the clockmaker. Centuries before Lila Morgan was born, there is one man the curator has never been able to erase, because no one knows when he was born. The voice had disappeared. The archive had fallen silent. Every book remained open, writing itself without a single hand touching the pages. The scribe stared across the endless shelves. Who's writing them? Before I could answer, a clock chimed, not one of mine. This clock sounded different, older, slower. 3 echoes. Dong, dong, dong. I turned toward the sound. Someone was whistling, a tune I hadn't heard in over 1,000 years. A man stepped out from between 2 bookshelves carrying an old leather toolbox. He looked no older than 40. His sleeves were rolled up, revealing grease-stained hands. Tiny brass gears hung from chains around his belt. He wore a pair of cracked goggles on his forehead. He smiled as if we'd interrupted his afternoon. Finally, he sighed. I've been waiting forever. The scribe instinctively stepped in front of me. Who are you? The man tipped an imaginary hat. Names change, but most timelines call me the clockmaker. I reached for one of the watches hanging from my coat. It wouldn't move. Every watch had stopped. The clockmaker chuckled. Those things never work around me. Impossible, I said. They're tied to time itself. He grinned. Exactly. Then he reached into his toolbox. Inside wasn't a hammer or a wrench. It was filled with dozens of broken pocket watches. I recognized them immediately. Every single one belonged to a timeline I had erased centuries ago. How do you have those? I demanded. He shrugged. I collect broken time. The scribe whispered. Curator, you erased those worlds. I tried. The clockmaker laughed. Nothing ever really disappears. It just ends up in my workshop. He pulled out a tiny brass gear, no bigger than a coin. Do you know what this is? Neither of us answered. This, he held it toward the light, is the first second. I frowned. That's impossible. So is an endless library. He tossed the gear into the air. The moment it landed, time around us rewound. The falling books flew back onto their shelves. The spilled ink raced back into the pages. The heartbeat beneath the archive stopped, as if it had never happened. Only the 3 of us still remembered. The clockmaker caught the gear and slipped it back into his pocket. I can repair moments, but not history. The scribe looked at him carefully. If you can fix time, why haven't you stopped all this? For the first time, the clockmaker stopped smiling. Because I'm not trying to save time. I'm trying to save someone. Before we could ask who, his expression changed. He stared behind us. Oh, you found us. A cold wind swept through the archive. Every candle went out. The clockmaker slowly backed away. I hate it when they arrive early. Who? I asked. He looked directly at me. The collectors. The books began slamming shut one by one. Not writing anymore. Hiding. Even the archive seemed afraid. Footsteps echoed from somewhere beyond the shelves. Not one pair. Hundreds. The clockmaker picked up his toolbox. If I were you, I wouldn't let them know you still have the scribe. He reached into his pocket and tossed me a rusted brass key. I caught it. What does this open? He smiled. I honestly hope you never find out. With that, he snapped his fingers. Every clock in the archive struck midnight. When the final chime echoed, the clockmaker was gone. Only the smell of machine oil lingered in the air. The scribe looked down at the key in my hand. On its handle was a tiny engraving, a sketchbook, a fountain pen, a pocket watch, and a 4th symbol, a gear. Before either of us could speak, the footsteps stopped. A voice echoed from the darkness, calm, cold, completely unfamiliar. Curator, you've kept what belongs to us for far too long. The shelves parted on their own. Dozens of figures stepped into the archive. Each wore identical white masks. Each carried an empty black book, and every one of them turned their heads toward the scribe, as if they had come to take him home.